Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
I'm Erin Morgan. I'm the 4-H Youth Development Agent from Northampton County.
And I'm Julie Head. I'm the Education Director for the Eastern Shore Soil and Water Conservation District. We restarted the Regional Science Fair in 2024 because we noticed that kids after COVID really didn't have a clue what was going on. And so Erin and I got together and we're like, we need to bring this back. Some of it's in memory of Robin Richcoats, who was really the spearhead behind it prior to COVID. And she was my board director, and then she passed away, and it's like, well, somebody needs to pick up this torch.
Yes, and we've been very grateful to VIMS here and that they were willing to host this event and provide us judges, provide us activities. And so it's just been wonderful working with the community and having the community support behind this event.
Putting this together has been a couple months. Judging science fair the last couple weeks, it's pretty much been another day, another science fair.
So we have invited all public, private, and homeschool kids. And I know there's a group called the Classical Conversations that meet, that's a big homeschool group, and they actually had their own homeschool science fair. And what we asked the schools to do is to send their top exhibits to us so that we don't get overwhelmed with 100 kids coming, but this is the best of the schools, and that these kids should feel very honored because they are representing their schools and they are the top projects from their schools. And we are very happy. We do have homeschoolers here today. We do have private schools representing Broadwater, Shore Christian, I think that's all the private schools, and then a vast majority of the public schools being Northampton Middle, Kiptopeke Elementary, Occohannock Elementary.
We've got
from
Accomack Elementary, Keegatank Elementary,
Nandua Middle, and Pungatee Elementary.
Jacob Chase. My school is Keegatank Elementary School. I wanted to see if 4 cups of sugar would go into rock candy, which it did, and if 3 cups of sugar would go into rock candy, which it did. If 2 cups of sugar would go into rock candy, it didn't because there wasn't enough sugar in the jar. I want to see if 1 cup of sugar would go into rock candy, which it didn't because there wasn't enough sugar in the jar. Turned out like this. I like rock candy, and I know kids and adults like candy and stuff, so I was like, let's do this because people like candy.
I'm Libby Beck, and I go to Accomack Elementary School. My science fair project is I have 9 different types of soils, and I'm going to see which one grows the strongest, the tallest, and is the #1 plant to prevent erosion out of the soils I did. I used pea gravel, which is rocks, topsoil, mulch, clay, dirt from my yard, sand, compost soil, potting mix, humus and manure, soil conditioner. Number 9, humus and manure, is out of the ones I did, was very good at, and it prevent erosion. And it was the tallest out of the ones I did, and had the least amount eroded from it.
Max Collins from Kiptopeke Elementary. I did a fruit battery. I heard that I could do there was such thing as a potato battery, so I wanted to see if I could make it out of other fruit. I took 1 or 2 fruits and put copper and a zinc nail in it, and then I connected a negative and positive wire, and then connected it to the mini LED clock. I discovered that not only potatoes produce electricity, other fruits can too.
What's the fruit that produced the most electricity?
The oranges.
My name is Kelley Stanhope, and my school is Pungatee Elementary School. So my project is see the shell, and my question is, what happens when a seashell is placed in water and vinegar for 7 days? And I observed the shell daily and charted what happened to the seashells for 7 days. So these are the results for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. Day 1 was the most bubbliest for vinegar. My hypothesis was if a seashell is placed in vinegar/acid for 1 week, then the seashell base will disintegrate. And then my conclusion was, as acid increased in the ocean, marine life such as oysters, clams, crabs, lobsters, and coral reefs will not be able to grow and maintain their shell. Over time, this will decrease the marine ecosystem and food sources.
Isaac Dale, and I'm homeschooled.
Well, I like to build planes, and I thought, well, normal plane has 2 blades. So what if it had more blades than that? Would it have more thrust, or would it be too much weight and too much load on the motor? Well, I found some models on printables, is where you get 3D files from, and I made them to fit my design, and I designed and 3D printed this part of my thing, and I tested it with a fan on high speed, and I calculated how many washers they could pull up at one time. Our results were blade 5 was the strongest because of the amount of blades and the degree angle of the propeller blades. Well, blade 5 has 8 blades, or 8 propeller blades, I guess, and it has a very low degree angle, which helps the wind push on it a little harder, but has more surface area, which is called high solidity.
My name is Adelis Garcia Rueda, and I go to Wachapreague Elementary School. My science fair project, I thought of a question like a popcorn question, which brand of popcorn leaves the most unpopped kernels, which gave me these 3 options. And so I tried 3 trials. My hypothesis was the Food Line brand would have the most unpopped kernels because of the low quality kernels. Set the time for 2 minutes, and then for each and every one of them. Put the popped kernels in one bowl and the unpopped kernels in another bowl. Count the unpopped kernels, each and every one of them. You had to make sure I counted them 3 times. And then put them in little Ziploc bags. And then these are the types of 3 brands I used. Act 2, Nature Promise, the buttery flavor organic, and Food Line brand. The data was, so the Act 2 had the least amount of unpopped kernels, and the Nature Promise had the most. It had over 300 unpopped kernels.
My name is Elizabeth Erminger, and I go to Wachapreague Elementary.
So I did what color helps plants grow, and this one was a little hard because I had to keep all the plants in like different areas where there was no other light coming in. But I was able to do it, and I did blue light, red light, and natural light as my control group. So in the end, the blue light grew the sunflowers the tallest, but and natural light did not. But the blue light and the red light, they don't look as healthy as the natural light does, and they didn't photosynthesize very quickly, probably because plants need a dark period to photosynthesize, so that's probably why they didn't. But so I am really excited about that. Well, my hypothesis was correct, that different colored plant lights will help plants grow taller. I've seen lots of different plants grown under different colored lights, and I've never actually known if they actually helped or if it was for a specific kind of plant, so I kind of wanted to try it out, and I thought it'd be a cool science fair experiment.
I'm Henry Lattimore, and my school is Broadwater Academy. So what I did was I took a clam and an oyster, and I would see which one would filter algae the fastest. And how I did that was I took a hemocentimeter and I put 2 liters of filtered seawater and 2 liters of tetracellus green algae in a container, both of them. And then I had 2 clams, clam A, clam B, and then I had 2 oysters, oyster B and oyster A, and then I had my control in the middle. And this is an example of the start, and then this is the finish. As you can see, my hypothesis was if I take 2 clams and 2 oysters, then the oyster will filter algae faster because it has a different filtering mechanism. Here, the filter it opens its shell and lets water pass over its gills, and then it just spits it back out. Now the clam has an in-current and out-current siphon, so the in-current siphon takes in all of the stuff and then it puts it back out. And the reason the oyster also filtered algae faster was because it has a bigger capacity of filtering. But my hypothesis was proven correctly. Even though it looks more clear and it's pretty visible, we did have a little bit of a catch up with clam egg. It did start to, at the end, it definitely did a lot better than at the start, but the oyster, both of the oysters filtered better either that way.
My name's Darby Bailey and my school is Punkintick Elementary. My science fair project is what has more bacteria, kisses from your pets or your parents. The first thing I did was I boiled water and I mixed it with agar powder, and then I poured the mixture into petri dishes and allowed them to cool for 24 hours. Then I swabbed my pet's and my dad's mouth and applied it to the agar. Then I sealed the dishes and placed it in a warm, dark place, which was my closet. And then I waited 5 days to let the bacteria go, and then I counted the colonies with a marker, and I counted all the little dots. I have a bunny, a dog, a cat, and a lizard. And my dad, yeah.
What were the results?
Okay, so what has the dirtiest mouth is Brody, my dog, and then my bunny, and then my dad, and then my cat, and then my lizard.
This is the first time that some of these kids are really learning how to do research, how to really get into how do I pick my project, what steps go into doing a project, and really devolving into those scientific methods, because I think otherwise they don't get it until they get doing a science fair project.
And Cora Baird down at the UVA LTER station, last summer she interviewed all of the interns that they get in, which is quite a few. I think over the course of the summer there's like 60. And virtually every single one said that their interest in science started at a science fair. So while it may not be the right thing for everybody, for some kids it's what sparks their interest in their future.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.